I want to just deal with what Honorable Brink said, because I think he's right that things went wrong at the beginning. And I will tell you which things went wrong at the beginning. Things went wrong at the beginning when our land was stolen and taken by force. When our people were put in dormitories in the townships to provide cheap labor in the cities, and the cities were only accessed by white people. And at night, there were actually curfews for black people, so you had to be out of the city at a particular time. That's what went wrong at the beginning. When education was free and compulsory only for white people, that is what went wrong at the beginning. When rural areas were left without electricity, without clean water, proper roads, no schools, no clinics, no hospitals, and were left there to provide cheap labor for the mines and for the farms, that is what went wrong at the beginning. When there was job reservation for white people who may not even have gone beyond primary school, but jobs were reserved for them, that is what went wrong at the beginning. When municipalities were there and they were servicing white people, that's what went wrong at the beginning. When the economy was monopolized by a few and the rest of the black people were left out of the economy, that's what went wrong at the beginning. When those who fought for freedom, the freedom fighters, like Tata Mandela, were called terrorists, that's what went wrong at the beginning. When they were locked up in prison for years and years, that's what went wrong at the beginning. When freedom fighters were killed, some of them brutally, and actually their bodies were burnt, and those who were burning them were sitting and enjoying braai next to that. That's what went wrong at the beginning. Even now, you can see the legacy of what went wrong at the beginning. Take the Western Cape itself. Look at Langa, look at Nyanga, look at Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain. It's so different from Camps Bay and from many Bishop's Court and many other suburbs. So that is what went wrong at the beginning.
And I dare say that the TRC is more concerned with the white life because even the questions are being filtered by a man who benefited hugely from the dispossession of our people. Because as far as I'm concerned, he who benefits by crime is guilty of that crime. And every white person in this country benefited from the crime of dispossession, benefited from the crime of colonialism, benefited from the crime of apartheid. But now you want to extract yourself from this crime. And it is so displeasing that the grandsons and daughters of Mushweshwe, of Shaka, of Sikukuni are now bearing the burden of their abusers. Because you abused us, all in all. The TRC doesn't encourage people to speak truth. And I dare say this whole fuss, this whole circus is doomed for failure. It's doomed for failure for obvious reasons. Because you cannot reconcile the dispossessed and the dispossessor. You cannot reconcile the oppressor and the oppressed.
We start with Baron de Rothschild. He ain't even the first generation of the granddaddy Rothschild, but he's just manifest in the late 1800s in England, who shows up on the docket of Assistant Cecil Rhodes to colonize Azania. So we start there with the top daddy manifesting of the Jewish community, Rothschild. Rothschild wanted to assist Cecil Rhodes in amalgamating the gold and diamonds in South Africa because Cecil Rhodes could give him something that he wanted. There was a Jewish guy there in South Africa named Bernie Bonato. He was the #1 competitor to manifesting of the Jewish community, Rothschild. Rothschild wanted to assist Cecil Rhodes in amalgamating the gold and diamonds in South Africa because Cecil Rhodes could give him something that he wanted. There was a Jewish guy there in South Africa named Bernie Bonato. He was the #1 competitor to Cecil Rhodes for eating up and buying all of the wealth of the diamonds and the gold. A Jewish man named Alfred Bett took Rhodes to England and met him with Rothschild, and there Rothschild decided to help the Anglo and not the Jewish man. Why did he not help the other Jewish guy and side with Cecil Rhodes? Because the other Jewish guy, Bernie Bonato, had no power in England. And because he had no power in England, if Rhodes